My first camera, well, it was a Zeiss Icon. It was my dad's, and I went on a study tour when I was 16 over to Europe, and I took that camera with me. It was a kind of a fold-out, single lens attached, but it had all the bells and whistles that most film cameras had at that time. Then eventually, when I went to the university, I purchased my first film camera for newspaper work, and that was a Pentax. I went to University of Northern Colorado, and I fell in love with the journalism program, and my minor was what they called industrial arts, but it included photography, back press room work. University of Northern Colorado had a very good journalism and community journalism program, so started out that, and my professors, they offered to do a honors program for me because they knew I was pretty passionate about photography as well as writing. Jobs were tight at the time. There were 2 jobs available in Colorado, and I wanted to stay in Colorado. So I took a job up in Grand County with the weekly newspaper up there, and it was a full meal deal. Writer, photographer, I did page layout, back camera work for all the plates for printing the newspaper. And that's a pretty tedious, about 27-hour days when you were putting the paper to bed. So I wanted to migrate on, and I was able to get another job actually in my hometown in Golden, Colorado. And that was a 5-day daily, so it was more like a real newspaper situation. And I did writing, but I was kind of their primary photographer. It became apparent that I didn't write real well on deadlines, so the editor decided my role should be feature writing and focus on photography. So that was kind of my big start as far as being a regular newspaper photojournalist, if you will. One of the things that I was attracted to was the National Press Photographers Association, which I was a member, and they had regional contests each month, and you would enter some of your images from that month, and then they were judged from another district or another region. And after about a year or two, I started getting recognized, and so I moved on to a larger statewide newspaper in Idaho, and then I moved back, continued to do some of the contest work, and there was a director of photography that kind of cottoned to my work and what I was capable of doing, and invited me to go work at the Topeka Capital Journal. And some of the great photographers in the U.S. have gone through that publication, and I think that was probably my biggest breakthrough. In the early 80s, I left newspapers to start freelancing, and at that time, a good portion of my business was photojournalism coverage for national magazines. So much of that was where my foundation for my career was established. So some of the highlights of my career. You know what, people have asked me that many times, and I kind of laugh because I've been really blessed with a lot of incredible experiences. I worked on 8 day-in-the-life books around the world. I've been fortunate enough, I was the team photographer for the Broncos for 39 years, worked the NFL for 47. Other sports, I covered 2 Olympics, LA and Calgary. I think in terms of just special moments, you can't take away from a championship like a Super Bowl. I've done a couple World Series that were fun, but away from the sports realm, I was with a group on a couple mountaineering projects and climbed Mount Rainier with a group. That was a special experience. Years ago, I was on the Day in the Life of Italy book, and my assignment was to go to this northern Italian town of Comaire, and right there is Mount Blanc. And when I got to the hotel, you opened up the shutters, and here is Mount Blanc, and you just kind of look and go, whoa. So I got in this helicopter with a cowboy Italian pilot, and we went up Mount Blanc on one of the massifs, and then just elevated the helicopter right in front of the massif, and you'd see these aqua blue caverns, and he just took it all the way up, and in the very last moment he tipped the cockpit of the helicopter down, and you're looking straight down on Mount Blanc, and it was just a remarkable experience. So you just don't get to do that every day. I think with the long career that I've had, there have been a lot of influential people. I think the old school people, Gordon Parks comes to mind. Of course, Ansel Adams. I think we all that are in this field have always admired his tenacity and the way he built his career. Irving Penn, Ernest Haas is another one. And I was just recently reading a journal on Cartier-Bresson, the French photographer who actually was based in New York City for a while and worked for all the picture magazines, Life, Look. And then more contemporary-wise, William Allard from the National Geographic, Jim Richardson, who I worked with on a couple newspapers. He's been doing some marvelous documentary work on Scotland. I would say James Baylog, his documentation of endangered species, along with Joel Sartori, who is the Photo Arc project that he's been working on for, I think close to 20 years now. And then I try and keep in touch with some of the newer, younger people through Instagram and follow them for inspiration, if nothing else, because techniques have changed and new creative minds, younger people, I think provide something we all can learn by. I always enjoyed the darkroom. I always enjoyed black and white. It was a very magical moment to capture a scene or do a portrait or something like that and see it come up through the chemicals in the tray, and then be able to do some various small touching to really make that image come to life. But as time progressed, digital has really, I think, been the platform that I'll continue with. The advancements in sensors, the quality of lenses that are available, the dimension of some of these platforms continues to grow and flourish better for all of us. So I think most of us in the field try and stay up with that. You certainly can go through a particular project much more efficiently and really define what you're trying to look for. And if it isn't there, you can move on to another aspect of that that might fit the needs. Why did I choose to live in Beulah? There was a point where my wife and I really wanted to kind of get, if you will, pardon the expression, out of the fray. And Beulah was just kind of this magical old Colorado place. It's an old ranching community. It started in the mid-1800s. Great people there. Not a whole lot there. We're part of the wet mountain region, so there's always something unique around there. A lot of abandoned ranches, a lot of vivacious ranches, wildlife. I'm working on some just personal projects around that area, and I contribute some of my time to the community for various things that they need. But that's something that I've always been attracted to. Throughout my career, I've probably lived in mountain communities more than I've lived anywhere else. So it was a natural fit, and it's a little slower pace. People really embrace the arts, the community itself, and so it's turned out to be a really good fit. Am I still living the photographer mind? I think, like many professions, it's always there. You're always seeing things. In fact, sometimes my wife gets a little upset because we'll be driving along and I'll say, "Oh, did you see that?" And she said, "Just pay attention to the road." But every day I wake up kind of looking, and now that my career's kind of in the slower parts, I think most of my focus going forward is going to be on travel photography to unique places that I'm attracted to. I'm still, even though I've been to the Arctic, I'm still in search of the ultimate Aurora Borealis photo.